My girlfriend cheated with my best friend, then made me the villain online. I stayed silent, gathered evidence, and exposed them at her own birthday party. Now karma's doing the rest. Looking back, the warning signs had always been there, subtle enough to ignore, yet persistent enough to haunt me now. Emma and I had been together for 4 seemingly happy years. We filled our social media feeds with smiling selfies at brunch spots, romantic weekend trips, and cozy evenings on our shared couch, painting an illusion of perfection for the world. Love, I'd convinced myself, could overcome small doubts and fleeting suspicions. But about 6 months ago, something shifted. Emma started working longer hours without any noticeable financial reward. Her job suddenly demanding late nights and weekend commitments. Initially, I dismissed it as ambition. After all, I'd always admired her dedication to her career, yet alongside these new work commitments, other things changed too. The details stood out like glaring neon signs now. Her wardrobe had transformed from comfortable sweaters and jeans to sophisticated outfits and expensive dresses that mysteriously appeared without any mention. Her fragrance shifted abruptly from the fresh and sweet scent I'd grown to adore to something deeper, musky, like someone else's preference entirely. My instincts were nagging me, whispering suspicions I didn't want to acknowledge. Emma's phone became her constant companion, a fortress of secrecy. Messages buzzed in at odd hours, her face always lighting up with a smile meant for someone else. Each time I'd glance in curiosity, she'd quickly angle the screen away, offering a nervous laugh and an awkward excuse. My gut twisted, yet I stayed quiet, afraid of being branded paranoid. The inevitable breaking point arrived on a rainy Wednesday. I was unloading groceries onto our small kitchen counter when Emma's phone vibrated loudly on the table. My eyes instinctively flicked to the screen, and there, clear as day, flashed a message from someone named Alex. "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe." My heart dropped, cold dread spreading through my veins. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, driven by a painful need for answers, I decided to follow her that night as she left for yet another supposed girls' night. My pulse raced and guilt clawed at my conscience as I trailed her cab across town. It stopped at a familiar luxury apartment complex, the same place where my best friend Lucas lived. A friend I'd known for nearly a decade. My chest tightened painfully as I watched from across the street, disbelief paralyzing me, as Emma greeted him at his door with a casual intimacy that shattered my world. The next morning, I packed quietly as she slept, oblivious to the storm brewing within me. By the time she awoke, disheveled and confused, I was already standing by the door, keys clenched tightly in my hand. "What's going on?" she murmured, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Tell Lucas I said hi." My voice was surprisingly steady despite the turmoil inside. Her face paled, eyes wide with panic before quickly turning defensive. "Maybe if you'd actually paid attention to me," she snapped, venom dripping from each word, "I wouldn't need someone else." I didn't respond. Instead, I walked out quietly, allowing the painful silence to speak louder than any angry retort. The fallout was swift and harsh. Emma wasted no time crafting a narrative that painted me as controlling, neglectful, and emotionally distant. Friends we'd shared for years suddenly grew cold, distant, believing her version without question. Social media became her stage, each post carefully curated to depict me as the villain and herself as the resilient survivor. The sympathetic comments flooded in, each supportive message like another dagger. Amidst this chaos, a message arrived from an unexpected source: Cassie, Emma's closest friend. We'd never been particularly close, but Cassie had always struck me as quietly observant and fair. "You deserve the truth," she wrote simply. Over coffee, Cassie revealed a chilling pattern. Emma and Lucas had played this cruel game before, thriving on deception and manipulation. She handed me irrefutable proof: screenshots of conversations, emails, photos, all carefully saved, anticipating this exact moment. Instead of immediately confronting Emma, I waited for her extravagant birthday party 2 weeks later. The venue was a luxurious rooftop bar, our favorite spot during happier days. As she stood beside Lucas, raising a toast to her so-called loyal friends, I calmly sent every screenshot, every email, every incriminating detail to our group chat. Without a word, I walked away, leaving chaos in my wake. Phones exploded with notifications, shocked whispers spreading rapidly. Lucas's own girlfriend messaged me, furious but grateful for the truth. Mutual friends, suddenly desperate to explain themselves, flooded my phone with apologies. Yet I stayed silent, realizing losing these superficial friendships was actually a blessing. Cassie and I found solace in each other's honesty and kindness, slowly forming a genuine relationship built on trust and respect. Emma, humiliated by her exposed deception, left town quietly. Lucas faced professional ruin as his unethical actions reached his employer. I learned a valuable lesson. Karma doesn't need to be forced, it simply requires patience and integrity. Life eventually finds balance, and sometimes the best revenge is stepping back and allowing truth to unravel on its own. My girlfriend thought I was asleep when she whispered to her sister, "Once he signs the papers, I'm out of here." I pretended not to hear, but on the day she expected my signature, I left something on the table that she never saw coming. Ever have that moment when your entire life flips upside down in a heartbeat? When everything you believed just shatters into tiny, sharp fragments, slicing through every happy memory you've built? Welcome to my disaster. I've been with Emily for 4 years, met her through mutual friends at a barbecue, and honestly, she blew me away. She was smart, beautiful, witty, the type of girl everyone instantly likes. When we moved in together after 18 months, life felt complete. It wasn't anything grand, just a cozy apartment downtown, but it was ours. Last summer, I finally saved enough money to buy the ring. It drained my bank account, but the look in her eyes when I proposed was worth every cent. She cried, said yes, and it felt like the start of something perfect. We celebrated with friends, called our families, and posted cheesy photos online, the whole package. Things were amazing until they weren't. About 4 months ago, my grandfather passed away, leaving me his small but successful family business. Overnight, I went from comfortable to financially secure. Emily started changing almost immediately. Our cozy apartment suddenly felt too cramped, too cheap. My old Toyota was an embarrassment whenever her friends visited. Every conversation about our future ended in subtle digs about my potential and how much better our lives could be. Wedding planning spiraled quickly. Our intimate ceremony exploded into an elaborate 250 guest event at a luxury hotel with catering I couldn't even pronounce. Whenever I questioned the budget, Emily's eyes would water dramatically as she talked about how she'd always dreamt of the perfect wedding and couldn't stand feeling embarrassed in front of her family. I bit my tongue, worked harder, and drained more of my savings. I just wanted her to be happy. How stupid was I? 3 weeks ago, Emily's sister Hannah came to visit. Normally, they're loud and laughing about reality shows or whatever celebrity drama, but that night they spoke quietly. I was lying on the couch, eyes shut but wide awake, scrolling aimlessly through Twitter. That's when I heard my name, and something in Emily's voice made me freeze. "Once he signs the business papers, I'm out," she whispered. "He trusts me completely. It'll be easy." My stomach sank. Hannah giggled softly, replying that I'd never see it coming. "You deserve someone more exciting anyway," she added, as if my entire life was just entertainment. My body went cold. Every dinner we'd shared, every "I love you" she'd said. It all felt sickeningly fake now. I wanted to leap up, confront them right there, but something told me to wait. I pretended to sleep until they went to bed, their laughter echoing in my ears. The next morning was torture. Emily was sweet as ever, smiling, making coffee like she hadn't just casually planned to dismantle my life. I smiled back, pretending my world wasn't imploding. Once she left for yoga, I started digging. Emily's laptop password was easy. Her birthday, predictable. Inside were messages between her and Hannah detailing plans for selling the business after transferring ownership to Emily's name. Emails from a realtor already evaluating our apartment. Screenshots of my investment portfolio, my bank statements. Everything laid out like I was an obstacle, not a fiance. Then came the social media accounts, hidden dating apps, photos with men I'd never met, weekends at hotels during girls' trips. Every discovery was like a punch in the gut, each piece fitting into the sick puzzle she'd crafted. I spent hours collecting screenshots, downloading emails, quietly building my case. The next 2 weeks felt surreal. I watched her carefully, noticing every fake smile, every manipulative glance. Emily began pushing harder about signing legal documents that would give her partial control over the business, something she'd casually described as protecting our future. I stalled, claiming the lawyers needed more time, while secretly preparing my own surprise. I opened new accounts, moved assets around discreetly, secured key documents, and found a new apartment. Richard, my best friend since college, thought I was insane for not confronting her immediately. He didn't understand that this wasn't just about ending things, it was about justice. Emily set a meeting with lawyers for today, fully expecting me to sign everything over. This morning, she kissed me goodbye, reminding me about our important meeting with that manipulative, sweet smile. As soon as the door closed, I moved swiftly. Instead of signing papers, I left a single envelope on the kitchen table. Inside were printouts of her messages with Hannah, evidence of the cheating, and an official letter notifying her that our joint accounts had been frozen pending investigation for fraud. I included a note, short but clear. Amoy, I heard everything. Good luck explaining this one. Alec. I switched off my phone, left my keys on the table, and walked out without looking back. Right now, I'm sitting in my new apartment, no fancy decor, no elaborate furniture, just silence and freedom. As I unpack my few belongings, my only regret is not seeing her face when reality hits. The fallout, I'm sure, will be spectacular. A tiny voice keeps nagging me, asking if maybe there was some misunderstanding, if I acted too harshly, but then I replay her whispered betrayal. Once he signs the papers, I'm out of here. And that voice goes silent. Justice served cold might taste bitter, but at least it's honest. I'll update soon. This story isn't over yet. At our wedding, my father-in-law stood up to give a toast, glanced around the room with a smirk, and said, "Honestly, when I first met Alex, I thought my daughter was joking. I mean, look at him. Do we really think he can take care of my girl? But hey, good luck, kid. You're going to need it." My bride, Mia, laughed. Not the nervous laugh you'd expect in an awkward moment, but a genuine, amused laugh, as if this was some hilarious inside joke they'd shared 100 times before. The room went silent, guests glancing at me in embarrassment and shock. I just sat there, frozen, forcing a smile, because what else could I do? We'd met 2 years earlier at a friend's barbecue. Mia was gorgeous, one of those people who seemed to effortlessly glide through life, attracting attention wherever she went. I was the average guy working construction, good with my hands, honest, and admittedly naive about people like her. From the beginning, things moved fast. Within months, she had practically moved into my modest two-bedroom apartment. Even though she kept her expensive condo downtown, she said she preferred the coziness of my place, yet somehow never invited me to her own. Meeting her parents for the first time had felt like a job interview. Her father, Greg, eyed my old truck skeptically. Her mother, Sandra, made comments about Mia's past boyfriends, successful types, lawyers and finance guys. I brushed it off, convinced Mia's love was genuine, even if her parents seemed skeptical. But after the wedding toast, everything changed. That night, while Mia slept, something made me check her phone, a gut feeling perhaps. The messages confirmed my worst fears. Mia and her mom had meticulously planned to use my credit and savings to buy a luxury house, establish residency, and then divorce me, leaving her with everything. My stomach twisted in knots as I read the text, especially the ones mentioning her ex-boyfriend, Alex, a wealthy lawyer who was apparently waiting in the wings. Instead of confronting Mia immediately, I decided to play along while quietly making my own moves. See, what they didn't know was that the modest family cabin I occasionally mentioned was actually a beautiful, fully paid off property I'd inherited from my grandfather years before meeting Mia, safely hidden in a trust they couldn't touch. Over the next few weeks, while Mia discussed grandiose houses way beyond our budget, I quietly gathered evidence and consulted a lawyer. The real surprise came when I invited Mia, her mother, and even Mia's friend, the infamous ex-boyfriend she'd been secretly meeting, to visit this mysterious cabin. Their faces, when they saw it, a sprawling, picturesque home, far nicer than anything they expected, were priceless. Mia's mom immediately asked whose place it was, suspicion edging into her voice. I casually explained that it had been mine all along, fully owned outright, untouchable by divorce laws. The expression on their faces when they realized their plan had completely backfired was worth every moment of silent endurance. Mia tried everything, tears, apologies, accusations, but by then I was immune. Her mother threatened legal action, but I had covered every angle already. Within weeks, the divorce was finalized. Mia and her mom had no choice but to retreat, their schemes exposed. Now I'm sitting on the deck of that beautiful cabin, looking out at the lake, sipping coffee, finally free and wiser. Turns out sometimes the best revenge is living a genuinely happy life.